The new GPD WIN 5 has a choice of two processor models, the AMD Ryzen AI Max 385 and Ryzen AI Max Plus 395. In this video we will compare both to find any differences in performance and learn which is best suited for your needs. In terms of look and features, both models are identical. You have the same hardware. Everything apart from the processor is identical, so you won't have any differences in display, controls or other features. Let's take a brief look at the processors. The AMD Ryzen AI Max 385 features 8 cores with 16 threads, a base clock of 3.6 GHz and boost up to 5 GHz. It has the Radeon 8060S graphics with 32 cores running at 2800 MHz. In comparison, the AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 doubles the cores bringing it up to 16 and doubles the threads to make it 32. Its base clock is 3 GHz and boost clock up to 5.1 GHz. It has the Radeon 8060S graphics with 8 more cores to bring it up to 40 and a slightly faster frequency of 2900 MHz. We tested both GPD WIN 5 devices whilst running from the external battery at full display brightness. We ran the Cinebench 2024 multi-core benchmark on repeat until the GPD WIN 5 switched off with just 5% remaining battery. At 55 watts TDP we got a battery life of 55 minutes on the 395 model and 62 minutes on the 385. Surprisingly, at 28 watts TDP, the 385 only lasted 4 more minutes at 66 minutes, whilst the 395 model made it to 69 minutes. The fans are identical in both the GPD WIN 5 models, and the peak noise is around 65 decibels for both. And of course you can change the temperature triggers versus fan speed to your performance. We checked the temperature at its warmest point. The 395 model higher than the 385 model, around 46 degrees compared to 39 degrees C. We will compare the two models at their peak supported TDP, which is 75 watts. We only changed the TDP for our benchmarks and do not perform any tweaks. This gives us the best out of the box comparison. Starting with Cinebench 2024, we did see the expected single core scores to be the same, and for multi-core scores we do see a noticeable difference in performance, up to a 47% difference at 75 watts TDP. In the Geekbench 6 benchmarks we do see the 385 ever so slightly in front with the single core performance scores. However, for multi-core performance the 395 model takes the lead, with a difference of 20% at 75 watts TDP. For 3D Mark's Time Spy, Night Raid and Firestrike tests, we do see a mix of high and lows in difference. For Time Spy and Firestrike we see around a 4% difference between the two models. However, with the Night Raid benchmark we see a far larger 16% difference in scores. For our gaming benchmarks we are running at 1080p across a range of TDPs, 4 watts being the lowest and 75 watts being the highest for the GPD WIN 5. On Forza Horizon 5 we can see at 4 watt there is a minor difference, well within the margin of error. At around the 15 watts range we can see the 385 outperform the 395 by a noticeable amount. As we increase the TDP we start to see the 395 take the lead by a large amount, 12% difference at 28 watts, 22% difference at 55 watts and an 8% difference at 75 watts TDP. For Shadow of the Tomb Raider we again see similar frames per second from 4 watts TDP up to around the 28 watts area, and that's where the 395 model begins to pull in front. At 55 watts and 75 watts TDP we see roughly a 10% difference between the two models. For Cyberpunk 2077 we weren't surprised to see the similar patterns up to the 28 watts TDP range, and again the 395 model speeds in front beyond that. We do see smaller differences though, only around a 7% difference at 55 and 75 watts TDP. Keeping in mind that this is an out of the box benchmark test with no processor optimising, there are some interesting results. In terms of pure CPU power, the 395 model clearly outperformed the 385 in multi-core tests, no surprises there. For gaming performance we generally see similar or slightly ahead in favour of the 385 from the 4 watts TDP up to the 28 watts TDP range. Then from there onwards, the 395 enjoys anywhere from a 7 to a decent 22% difference in performance. The difference will largely vary on the game's demands, if it is CPU or GPU intensive or a combination of both. And not forgetting optimisations such as core parking and providing more power to the CPU or GPU. These can make a more noticeable difference in performance for both devices. Comparing the prices for the two models, for the 32GB 2TB configurations, there is around a $180 or around a 10% price difference. In terms of overall performance, at lower TDPs we see similar results, up to a massive 22% at higher TDPs in games, and as high as 47% in pure CPU multi-core performance. If you are planning to mainly game at lower TDP, for example whilst on a battery or running from 4 to 28 watts TDP, then the 385 makes a bit more sense. You will overall get a fairly similar performance to the 395 with these conditions and at a lower price. If you want the best of both worlds, let's say gaming on battery during the daily commute, then gaming in the evening whilst docked to a TV or monitor, you can enjoy the extra 7 to 22% performance increase, based on our tested games at least, for around a 10% increase in price. It is an attractive investment for a reasonable price. One thing is for sure, both models of the GPD WIN 5 are very impressive for performance. You can happily run most games at 1080p with decent graphics settings and not have to worry about tweaking everything to squeeze an extra couple of frames per second to get them to 60 or 120. All of our tests are out of the box, but you can, if you wish to, spend a little time to optimise the WIN 5 for even more performance. Which model would you buy? Or perhaps you already have one. Let us know in the comments which you would choose and why. And don't forget you can purchase the GPD WIN 5 in various configurations, from 32GB up to a massive 128GB RAM option from us at DROIX. Visit us at droix.co.uk, droix.eu or droix.net for worldwide shipping. You get a 2-year warranty and excellent customer service with knowledgeable staff. It makes all the difference. Thanks for watching, please take a moment to subscribe to help continue growing this channel. We hope to see you back in our next one. Thanks.